All right, hey everybody, welcome. My name is Bo. I'm one of the GMs for Blades and Blasters. I'm here with a new campaign. We are going to be playing the One Ring Second Edition next, over the course of the next several months, and maybe even beyond if we're lucky. But tonight we are going to introduce the campaign with a prologue. Namely, we're going to introduce the campaign with a solo session that takes part in Ryador. And in fact, we'll start near the Angle, which is at the confluence of the Bruin and Loudwater rivers. And we're going to be starring tonight a gentleman by the name of Belechor, who is a Dunedain, played by Doc. And without further ado, we'll get started.
Whoop whoop.
Should see that, huh?
I do.
Alright, here's my intro, as I am wont to do. Show players. Should see that?
I do.
Alright. April 2950. The Third Age of Middle-earth, the Angle. As Belechor draws near to home, the weight of his hunting spoils may hang heavy on his shoulders. A deer, smaller game, or perhaps nothing at all. But one thing is for certain. The corners of his mouth lift slightly as he breaks through a dense copse of green conifers and looks down into a shallow valley. There, glittering in the golden afternoon light, he sees the confluence of the Horwell and Loudwater, called Bruinen by the elves. This fertile and forested region, known as the Angle, is nestled between those two rivers, and that's where Belechor makes his home. Perhaps the ranger's thoughts turn to his people's long and noble history, to his late parents, or to the fading yet still magnificent bloodline from which he descends. Or, perhaps, his mind rests only on the task ahead, preparing his catch for dinner and enjoying it in peace with his kin. Either way, his descent along a winding path and across a wooden bridge, nodding to 2 centuries he has known since childhood as he enters the settlement. Closer to home now, his ears fill with the sonorous roar of rushing water. The air is crisp and clean. He hears the laughter of children and the distant calls of mothers urging them to wash up. The metallic rhythm of a blacksmith's hammer rings out. A few final strikes before the craftsman sets his tools aside. As he kindles a cooking fire, eager for rest, a quiet sunset and fellowship over plain fare and perhaps a spot of ale. The Angle is not altogether safe, though, but it's well guarded. Not far from the Trollshaws and ever pressed from the east by fell things that creep down from the misty mountains. Its people are hardy and proud. Many, like Belechor, descend from storied bloodlines. Others trace their roots to the first men who dwelt for millennia on the western flanks of the mountains. Belechor bears his charge with quiet resolve, to stand fast at the edge of a Ryador, guarding the way of life so dearly cherished by the free peoples of Middle-earth. But tonight, he will rest. And I'm going to let you take it away, but first, Belechor, before any roleplay...
Yes, I was going to say, it's Belechor, not Belecost.
Belechor. Give me a hunting roll to see what you're packing as you walk into town here. What do we get? A Dolph?
Yes.
Automatic success. You can have whatever type of animal you want, son. Tell me what it looks like and introduce yourself.
So, Belechor walks in. He's a tall, lean young man. He has the dark features of his ancient Numenarian bloodline. His dark eyes and dark hair. His hair is probably about almost shoulder length, hanging just about to his jaw. It's wavy and a little bit shaggy. He has a little bit of sweat across his brow as he walks in through the gates, passes the two sentries, nodding at them. He's leading a horse as he walks into the gate, and draped across the back of the horse is a large buck that he was able to track down and hunt while he was out in the woods, which is perfect timing as food supplies are just starting to dwindle down with changing of seasons and whatnot. They've got plenty right now, but this will just ensure that they're not going to have to worry coming in with a prize this large. So Belechor walks in, and a small child runs up to him, smiling. Belechor looks at the child and laughs, reaches over his saddle there, one of the hunting bags, and pulls out a small hare as well that was caught in one of the snares. And he kneels down and he hands the hare off to the child and said, "Here, take this to your mother. She will appreciate it." The child laughs and gives Belechor a hug and runs off. Belechor walks into the middle of the town, where he takes the large buck from across the horse and drops it off onto a table where one of the other members of the village who was handy with knives is able to dress the deer and get it prepared for the food stores.
One of the gentlemen waiting for you to arrive wears a leather butcher's apron. It's covered with dried blood, but it's well kept. The leather's oiled and conditioned. He has a heavy black beard and a mustache to match, and thick jowls that fall down from beady but very merry eyes. Well met, Belechor. I see that your hunting expedition was not in vain. Ha! Alas, you never know with all those fell things creeping about coming down from the mountains these days. I'm not as young a man as you, Belechor. I remember when things were much more peaceful.
Belechor looks at him and smiles wide. And yes, well, it was peaceful, fortunately for me tonight. These days, I was able to keep my eyes open, collect this game. But you're right. We always have to be aware of our surroundings out there.
For what I hear, you have the eyes of an eagle, or a hawk might it be. Not much gets past you, Belechor. Me and my people, we are glad to have the aid of your kin here. I say it in jest, but you really bring a higher standard to the place.
And Belechor just nods gratefully at his compliment and smiles and puts his hand on the man's shoulder and says to him, "Well, your family. I would do anything for my family."
He smiles and wipes his grubby hands on his apron, and then looks at the buck and runs his hand over it. A fine animal. This beast will fill many, Belechor.
And that was the hopes, that many bellies are full from this prize.
He smiles. Well, go ahead now. Wash up. There's stew on the pot in the tavern, and I'll have this packed away soon. Oh, I nearly forgot. That elf is here again. The one you run around with from time to time. His name is... yes, Finduilas. Straight from Enladris he was. Said he was famished, although an elf doesn't typically speak that way. Then again, he dared spare me any songs or poetry and scuttled off as if he was in a hurry. I suggest you go meet him.
Belechor, yeah, Belechor smiles at that. Well, it's good to know that he brought his appetite. We'll see what we can do for him. And he kind of just turns and makes his way towards where he knows the elf will be waiting for him.
And he smiles, and as you kind of turn away, you can hear him set to work on the deer, starting to skin it and that sort of thing, and process it so it could serve as a meal for those of the settlement. As you walk towards the tavern, you hear the sounds of merrymaking and the sounds of a band playing. It gets louder and louder as you approach, but even kind of standing on the outside, the merriment and the warmth spills out of the windows. You know, it's that flickering, warm orange light that comes from the windows just as the sun is setting in. You know the good mood that people have when the first sip of ale hits their lips, and they hit the dance floor, and maybe they get a stale chunk of bread and maybe some broth that passes for a meal in these parts. And as you walk into the tavern, you look around and search for the elf.
And so Belechor walks in and he sees people jovial, doing a jig, dancing, clinking their cups together, eating meals. And he looks around for the elf, sees the elf in a corner, and catches eyes, nods his head, and makes his way over to the corner.
The elf is there with what looks like to be a simple glass of wine. No other food at this time. He's kind of tucked away into a corner, maybe not in the middle of the room, but not trying to completely hide either. Just be inconspicuous. Finduilas has a bit of a reputation here. He's a courier. Goes back and forth from Rivendell, aka Ladris, to the Angle. Sometimes down the eastern flank of the Misty Mountains, far south is the Gap of Rohan. For an elf, he's of middle age, and he's well traveled. Oddly, for his race, he seems to be very at home among the race of men as well. And that's why a slight, shallow smile creeps over his otherwise impassive face as he looks at the band playing their instruments, and he claps along even. Such cheer coming from an elf would be unexpected.
Yeah, Belechor makes his way up to the table, and he walks up and sees the elf sitting there, even clapping along. And Belechor looks at him, brings his hand to his chest, and gives the slightest of bow as a greeting. Friend, it's good to see you in high spirits. And he takes a seat at the table.
Finduilas greets Belechor slightly at first by standing and giving him a shallow bow, and then he sits back down. He scoots his own chair out and then puts his traveling boot on the seat of another chair and slowly scoots it across the floor to you. And likewise, Belechor. Am I not always merry? I am in the company of men. Such things lift my spirits. To be around my people upon a time, nay, a millennia, it does not do much to lift one's spirits. Our hearts grow colder year after year, Belechor. In this place it breathes life into my soul.
Belechor looks at the cup. He gets a mischievous grin on his face, and I'm sure the wine may have something to do with it as well, friend.
It's not bad. It's passable. The beverage of the Arthedain. It does bring pleasure to the lips, but it does not hold a candle to what we brew in Ladris. That heavenly concoction. What was they call it? What was that? I think it's called Mirivial or something like that. But there is an elvish wine that's described as Sweet tasting, yet very light and refreshing. And after you take it, you just want to run a marathon. So it is passable.
Okay.
Perhaps next time I am in Imladris, you will join me.
I would love to join you. I think that would be a splendid idea.
Well, it does seem that we may be journeying together sooner rather than later, Belechor.
Oh, what do you have in mind? What plans are set forth for us?
Set forth indeed, but not by mine own hand, or that of my kin, but of yours. The following letter is from your chieftain, the one who calls himself Aragorn, son of Arathorn. Your esteemed chieftain, Belechor, it seems he's ever this way and that these days. He's restless. If it were not that his heart dwelt ever in Rivendell and his thoughts strayed towards the daughter of Elrond, I would wager he be lost over the horizon, never to be seen again. But as things stand now, he is steadfast in his charge, and he is calling a council, Belechor, in Bree, no less.
Council and Bree, and Belechor cocks his head to the side just a little bit, just then as a young lady brings over a cup of wine for him as well. He takes it and smiles at her, nodding. Council and Bree. He takes a sip of the wine. And why is it you have heard of this before I?
It is the ear of an elf, my dear friend Belechor, that often is able to catch the faintest whispers of the words of the wise. They ever come and go in Rivendell by secret passageways. But they say, keen are the eyes of an elf, and hearing as well. Even Mithrandir does not pass under the eaves of the Buin Valley without me knowing, or my friends. And he has been ever coming and going these days, and even those more austere, the one they call the White.
And Belechor takes a drink of the wine and nods his head,
Why don't you give
looks
me a
down at
lore
the
check?
table.
Let's see if you know who he's talking about when he says the White. No. Yeah, you don't know he's talking about Saruman, but you figure out that you figure he's talking about somebody wise and above your pay grade. After all, you're not that old for Dunedain. You're just a fledgling.
Yeah. And realizing that he doesn't understand what he's talking about, Belechor raises his cup. And maybe it's just that you know before I, because the wise hear from the wise before any others, and you, sir, are definitely far more wise than I. And he raises his cup to him.
Finduilas raises his cup as well. Ha! Only by half a millennia, Belechor. Among my people, I am counted young as deed, young and naive. You do not know the end of trouble they give me for my journeys. Finduilas, lover of the Arthedain, they call me. Well, I suppose I've been called worse things in the past. And it is my nature. I would offer you my company, Belechor, at least as far as Amon Sul, or Weathertop, as the common folk call it.
Belechor takes another sip of his wine and looks over at Finduilas and nods. Aye? Well, if that's to be our destination, I will make sure I am prepped and ready to go.
Well, see to it then. But there's no reason to rush. Such business is best left till the dawn and the morning light, when it can light our path with wisdom and hope. But for now, let us drink and be merry, as is your custom.
And Belechor nods and smiles to that. Yes, let's do that. And he raises his cup and motions over for the young lady again to fill his cup with more wine.
And Finduilas and Belechor catch up on old times and Belechor's hunting expedition and how that whole situation happened. Maybe they haven't seen each other for a few years, but what's a few short years between a ranger of the north and an elf of Rivendell? And unless you have anything else, we can kind of move into the morning, where Finduilas and Belechor arrive at the edge of town in preparation to set off.
Sounds good.
All right. Travel map. All right. You should.
Yeah, I see it.
I don't have that pings plug in. I should have activated that. I'm going to make a note real quick.
Yeah. On this map, yeah, ping definitely comes in handy.
Go up to the angle. If you go up to the angle, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, I'm there.
Make Finduilas visible there. All right, so journey. The current of the Horwell is going the opposite direction, so you really can't take that north. So your best bet's probably going to be something like I don't know, here, like that. It's not really a lot of really good roads.
No. Either straight up north to the Great Road and then west, or straight across the what are those? The plains, the Cardolan or the Great the Great East Road.
It's up to you.
Yeah, let's go straight up north to the Great East Road and then take the road to Weathertop.
The road to Weathertop. Okay, so these rules are pretty. The travel rules are pretty simplified. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 squares total. But what I'll do during the road is I will cut those in half. So on the road you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll count that as 3 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 8 squares total. And so the way it works is, so you assign roles like we did in the other system. And so roles are, go to mechanics, journeys, journey sheet. Okay, here's a little cheat sheet I made from that last game. So basically there's the guide, the hunter, lookout, and scout, and you have to double up if there's less than 4 people. So each of us will have to take 2 roles. What is your guys' travel?
What do you mean? What's our
what's
travel?
Your travel skill? Finduilas is not very good.
2.
Not favorite.
Yeah.
That's better than mine. You should take that.
Okay.
Now we have hope to spend 2, and hope in this system in 2E lets you get an extra dice if you use it. There's some other things you can use.
We'll definitely use the hope on travel.
So you can be the guide.
I'll be the guide and the hunter.
Oh, jeez, I suck. I'll be
And
I'll be lookout and scout.
an elf should be good to look out and
He's
scout.
not good, but he's going to. This courier's the worst. All right. So what you would do is you would make a travel roll since you're the guide, and
Okay,
we'll see what it says.
I'm gonna make a travel roll. How do I add one from hope?
Let's see.
Oh, here we go. Hope point bonus
Yes,
die.
do it that way and then see it. Then go back to your sheet and see if it automatically deducted it after you roll. 9. It's pretty good. Great success. That means you get an extra square. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you go to 4 here. So narratively, kind of tell me what's going on here as we as we travel up alongside the Horwell.
So we leave in the morning after having packed what we need. After he further explained kind of what we're doing, what we're going for, and we get our packs, set them up, and then we set out as early as we can, declaring that we're going to follow the river north to the Great East Road, and then once we hit the road, we'll just take it west towards Weathertop, since the road would probably be the easiest and safest route. Now there is, of course, some hesitation getting close to the Trollshaws, but the road is still going to be safer. So we just kind of follow the banks, move along the edges, watch the water travel south towards the ocean, and just talk and hang out while we make our way north.
All right. Now, what we do is I roll a single success die. 1 success die. 1. And so I use this to target who has to make the event roll. So it's going to be the scout. Fuck, it's me. So I have to make an explore roll. The difficulty of that is based on the color of the square here. So this is yellow, is just like an average, so no modifications. All right, Finduilas, here we go. Explore. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna roll. I'll make a. I'll use hope. So just click on it. Oh, it's cool. Roll. That has to be a fail. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Damn it. All right. So now, what you do is you go on the events table, which is here. So this is a lot simpler than the other one. And then you look at what your result was. So it was a failure.
It was a 9.
Oh no! I was supposed to roll a feat first.
Right.
So let me roll a feat die real quick. And it's going to tell me what it was that I failed on. I think I was supposed to roll the feat dice first. 7. Mishap. Alright. I gain 3 fatigue. You gain 2 fatigue. Travel fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
So I take 3. You take 2. And what could have Finduilas done by failing to explore that could have cost us a day?
Well, following along the river while Finduilas was looking, he was our scout, right?
Yeah.
And he thought there was a small area that would cut off a little bit of time in our journey, and instead led us into a very wet, meadowy area that we had to basically wade through rather than sticking to the area where we were, which was more solid ground. He ended up leading us into a more boggy, squishy, grassy area that slowed us down quite a bit.
Yeah, it's like on the third night of the journey, and Finduilas kind of gets us a little bit lost. He's doing his best to maintain his composure, but it's clear that he's disappointed with himself. As the stars rise overhead, he gets no comfort from Elbereth and the constellations above. Instead, he trips and falls, his beautiful face kind of splashing down into the mire, and he pushes himself up. And as he presses himself up in this muck, it's almost as if he sees the shadow of noble human visages that lay beneath the bog. He kind of speeds up and falls along beside Belechor again, and it says, "Foul indeed. My judgment led us astray. It seems the doomed souls of your people follow us." And as you kind of look from side to side, Belechor, it's almost as you can see shades. You know, you can see half of a face or an arm or a leg kind of entwined in the cattails and reeds of the bog.
Yeah, Belechor takes him under the arm and helps him up a little bit until he gets his bearing back on his feet, and he looks at him, and then he looks to his left and looks to his right and looks across the wet grass and the boggy, the boggy vegetation, wet under the moonlight and the stars. He shudders just a little bit and looks back over at his travel companion. "Well, yes, you are wise. More wise than I. But I think together, staying together and getting back into the dry land is the smart thing for us both to do."
He kind of laughs a little bit in the gloom and continues forward. And after they get out of the bog, they have to spend an extra night drying off all their clothes, and they bed down at a campfire. "All right, sir, make another travel."
And I'm going to use a hope for this as well.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I just means a fail. But that also means that we only go one step before we have to make our next event.
At least we made it to the road.
All right, let's roll the target real quick. It's a 1d6. 6. What's that going to be? Is that scout again? Let me look and see. 6 is hunters. It's hunters. That's you, buddy. All right. All right. So now you roll. You roll hunting. Then we'll see what the outcome was of the failure.
Oh my goodness, what is going on?
No Sauron, no Sauron, no Sauron. Ooh, 3. I think that's still not that good. Events table. Ill choices. If the roll fails, the target gains 1 shadow point, dread. Then both of us have to take 2 more fatigue.
Oh, man.
So what happens to give you this ill choice, to give you this dread? Piling up that shadow already, son. Starting to come back to me now.
I'm trying to... Oh, I think it already There we go. There we go. I was trying to figure out how to get the fatigue right on my thing.
Maybe he was thinking back to those bodies in the bog.
Yeah, it was the thought of their mishaps down the bog and those bodies in combination with heading north closer towards the Trollshaws and Ettenmore, that he just starts becoming a little more concerned, a little more dour in his attitude and his outlook right now. Generally, when he's out traveling or out hunting, he's not gone any longer than a day, and then he's back in his safe encampment. But being out for a couple of days and being stuck in a bog and seeing the visage of peoples of the past and getting closer to the Trollshaw is just weighing heavy on him.
Can you give me a lore roll? Automatic success, and that was a Dolph as well, right?
Yes.
All right, for Dread, I will give you the opportunity to make a Valor check, and I will let you not take that shadow point if you beat that Valor check. So that, if you remember, there's Valor and Wisdom. You can roll that from your sheet. So you killed the lore roll, and you don't have to suffer the dread.
Nice.
And so what happens is, let's just say for roleplay purposes, we're a little bit closer to, whoops. Say we're on the road when this happens, because we're almost there. Because I was going to half these. Delete these things. Let's see here. Amon Sul, Arthedain ruins. This is a happy accident. There you go. Just happen to have that. Look what's in the background.
Nice.
This looks like, that the Tor 1E style. This is literally just AI. Like, it's getting too good. It's getting way too good. So, Finduilas and Belechor are encamped, and that's when Finduilas kind of looks at Belechor and notices that his mood is somber. He says, "Do not think that I do not know, as you do, what happened here. The dwindling kingdom of the Arthedain stood against Rudauer, the witch king of Angmar of old. Many perished. It does not take an elven spirit to see the shades in that bog, young Belechor. If you need to unload your heart, I am here to listen."
Belechor lets out an obvious sigh as his, breath he lets out and his shoulders drop just a little bit. And he looks up at the stars and he looks over at Finduilas and says, "I am thankful for your company and your words, friend. You're right. These roads do weigh heavy on my heart, and this place does. Its history weighs heavy on my thoughts frequently when I travel through these parts, even though it is rare. When I do, I can't help but think back to that time when our people, my blood, roamed these lands, ruled these lands, and fell in these lands. How different it all might be now. Had we prospered. But this is our fate now. This is where we are now. And well, yes, it weighs heavy on me, and I take comfort in your notice. I'm happy to be on this road with you, at least this night.
And at least as far as the watchtower of Amon Sul of old, Ranger. Although I do think our travels will again join in the future. Yes, indeed, a shadow presses upon my heart as well, but you would do well to know this, Ranger. And he kind of casts his gaze towards the stars, which are known to be revered by the elves. That spark of nobility that dwells in your bloodline, never let it go out. It is what I envy about your people. Your mortality gives you purpose and depth. Whereas time is slow in Rivendell, the leaves turn ever to autumn, and the hearts of my people grow cooler as the seasons pass. Many do not care for the wars and tribulations of this Middle Earth. They long ever to sail to the west. Myself, I am not decided. Instead, I take inspiration from you and your kin. And he lifts his voice into song and begins to sing in Elven. And I would say that you would probably speak Kenya, being who you were.
Yeah, yeah.
You would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see here. There we go. Beneath the Stars by Finduilas. He raises his voice and says, "Beneath the stars, we watched them rise, the Dunedain with fire-bright eyes. Tall towers crown the northern hills, their banners brave, their voices still. Through years like leaves the kingdoms passed, stone into dust, too proud to last. Yet we endure, though time grows thin, and mourn the strength that might have been. The strength of your bloodline may yet come to pass, Belechor. I see it in the eyes of your chieftain. The heir of Isildur is a thing to behold."
Belechor is just looking out across the view here, the horizon, and listening to the song. And he nods, and your song is quite beautiful. And I know you said you don't know how many seasons you might have left in this world. I can just say, friend, I hope we have many more seasons together.
And as you finish your sentence, Finduilas knows that he does not need to reply, but instead he fixes his gaze into the firmament and waits until you drift off to sleep, and he keeps watch since he doesn't have to sleep until the morning. You can give us a little role play about setting off again in the morning, and then make your last travel roll there.
So yeah, after a somewhat stuttered night of sleeping, some tossing, some turning, just because of the past days leading up to this point, and his dour mood, Belechor awakes and has a modest meal of travel rations. And he looks over at his friend who's been keeping watch over their encampment over the course of the night. And he's comforted by the fact that the elf, was able to be there and keep an eye on everything. And he gathers everything together, his sleeping pack, his gear, gathers together his rations, loads them into his pack, and he reaches down and touches the road, brings up a dusty hand and rubs his hands together and gets the dust on his hands. And he looks down the road and says, "Well, shall we, friend? Proceed down this road."
Can you give me an insight check?
Oof.
Yeah, you get the sense that Finduilas is a little uneasy as he kind of falls on behind you in the road, and his keen eyes stray to the east and west, but also far to the north and far to the south as well. And you can go ahead and make your travel check. A great success. You make it there. All right, no more events. So we're at the base of it. And let me, I'll let you kind of give a little role play as we kind of get closer and closer to Weathertop.
As we start approaching Weathertop, Belechor keeps his eyes narrowed as he looks to the sides of the roads, and he looks at the ruins and sees the mountain, and just somewhat a sense of awe comes across him, making his way down that road towards this ancient place. And he kind of shuffles along the road, also sensing the somewhat unease of his traveling partner. He keeps looking over at him as well. Doesn't say anything to him, but he definitely is aware of him, and just wants to at least visually check in on him from time to time as they make their way towards their destination.
Can you do a scan check then, Belechor? Scan or awareness?
Oh, or awareness?
Awareness would be fine.
If given the choice, I would have done awareness.
Great success. Yeah, you see it before Finduilas even does, but you pick up on his unease, and you see a crow kind of circling overhead, not that far away, and it kind of perches on one of these roadside ruins, and it flies off into the sky again, kind of circling overhead of you. You hear it go, "Caw, caw." And Finduilas hears that and looks above head, and then kind of ushers himself towards the embattlement. "Hither, Finduilas, the eyes of the enemy."
Yeah, and having seen the crow, as soon as Finduilas makes his move, Belechor immediately understands and swiftly is just right there at his side, moving with him, basically keeping their steps in motion together as they move into the ruins.
And Finduilas is already knocking an arrow on his bow. "Swiftly now, you as well. This creature shall not leave."
And Belechor swings his bow from across his back, and reaches into a quiver and pulls an arrow out, and he notches it into the animal gut twine of the bow.
Take a shot. See if he'll let you roll it without a target. Yep. Miss.
Oh, so close. So he fires at it, and the bow goes flying right by the bird, but it's So close.
Tell me what it looks like as both arrows kind of speed past this thing and then it wheels off to the south.
Yeah, both almost simultaneously. We fire almost simultaneously of each other. Me firing first, and then almost immediately after, Finduilas fires his, and in unison, they both go flying through the air. But the bird, being a bird, uh, its sudden, unpredictable movements allow it to get out of the way before the arrows are able to strike it. As they go flying by, the commotion of the disturbed air around the bird startle it and cause it to fly off.
And that's about that time you hear this low moan. You hear, and it's coming like from down the road. Let me see here. Let's activate this one. Yep. And kind of peeking now, like down the bend of the road, you see an overturned wagon and a couple figures kind of laying motionless or moving very slowly, scattered about it.
Yeah, and as the bird flies off, and we curse the fact that we weren't able to get it, and are now concerned for what it knows. And we make our way further down the road towards Weathertop and see this overturned cart. We slowly, carefully, warily make our way toward it, with Belechor's hand immediately, instinctively resting on the hilt of his sword as he makes his way towards it.
And Finduilas steps slowly, silently, right behind you, Belechor. He kind of whispers, "That is not the sound of a man who takes cheer with his companions. Make haste, walk slowly. An elf's eyes are keen, but alas, my bow is not so sharp." And as Belechor and Finduilas get ever closer, they kind of survey the scene. They see two bodies, one man and one woman. The woman is completely motionless and she's face down. It looks like her back has been pierced by 2 or 3 thick, notched arrows, with dark blood spreading over the back, already concealed. She's already a gray, ashen color. The man, though, has a beard, he has gray hair, and he's spitting up blood as you walk closer. "Help me, lads. Help me." Can you give me a scan? Or not scan, I'm sorry. Give me a... give me an awareness check as you approach the...
Oof.
Keep
Keep getting that eyeball.
As you approach the wagon, you notice that there are several footprints and things shuffled about. There's clearly more than these two people here. You can't really much tell in what direction and what kind of footprints and what exactly happened, though. At least without spending more time. What do you do about the people?
Belechor walks up and he kneels down to the woman that has the arrow in her back, and he takes a look at the arrow to see if he recognizes what kind of arrow it is and like who uses that kind of arrow, essentially.
Very well, very well. You have shadow lore, so I'm going to give you a +1 bonus. But so give me lore and give yourself 1 bonus die. It's automatic success, but it didn't get your bonus die. I'll roll an extra one.
Yeah,
for
no,
you.
it didn't.
See what we get.
Weird.
Whoops. Just roll a single dice. Success die 1. Feed die 0. I roll 3. I just want to see if you had a great success or anything.
Oh, you know what I did? I accidentally hit penalty die instead of bonus die, so it actually took a die away from me.
Then roll another. I'll roll another success die for you.
Yeah, I accidentally hit penalty instead of
no great success.
Bonus.
So yeah, it's an orc arrow. You know that. It's one from one of the Misty Mountain tribes.
Okay, so he looks over at Finduilas and he says, "Orcs. This is an orc arrow. Keep your eyes open, friend." And Belechor is looking up and down the road, and he looks to the man that you said was kind of making sounds. He looks to the man to see if there's anything he can do to help him.
Give me a scan check. Yeah, you see that there's some of the supplies in his wagon that are still there, so they're like some basic like dressing supplies and stuff like that. But other things you see scattered around with this automatic success are just wares. Like maybe he was on his way to Bree to sell things from a local village. Nothing.
Oh, while Finduilas is keeping an eye open up and down the road, Belechor is making his way through the wares of this crashed cart, and when he notices like some of the medical supplies, some clean cloths and different things, he pulls that out and kneels down next to the man, finds where the injury is, and then in Belechor, in a small leather pouch at his side, he has some balm that he keeps on him just for it helps with pain, reduce pain, as his common item, and it helps him when he's trying to stabilize someone and their injuries to help reduce their pain while he does so that it makes it easier for him to do so. So he applies some of the balm to the man's wounds and eases his pain before he starts wrapping the wounds up with the man's supplies that he has in the crashed cart.
Yeah, and do that, and give me a healing check and give yourself 2 bonus die, but make it ill-favored to reflect the gravity of this wound that this guy has. So
how do I make it ill?
When you roll, I'm gonna roll a healing from so see where it says favored or ill-favored. Click it worst.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be So basically,
worst?
It rolls 2 feet die and it keeps the worst one. Yeah.
I'm still not seeing it. I see feet die under ill-favored.
See.
Oh, yeah. Okay, worse. Okay, I got it. Yep.
Great success. Tell me what it looks like as you kind of stabilize this guy somehow.
Yeah, so with Belechor's heart racing a little bit, just at the nervousness of knowing that this man is bleeding, but at the same time that there are orcs in the area, he quickly but skillfully takes the bandages, applies the balm to the wound, helps control this man's pain, and as he relaxes a little bit, he's able to apply the wound the bandages to his wound, secure them in place, all while kind of looking over his shoulder at the same time. He helps the man sit up next to the broken wheel and then gives him a sip of water from the water skin that he has at his side. When did this happen? When did these orcs come through here?
Not only orcs, but men too. Or at least one of them. A swarthy type. Rough bred, stubbled with bad teeth. Made me empty my wares. My poor wife. They shot her where she lay. And there was one of them on horseback. A pale rider, I dare not look him in the face. But the three, they fled as if they were scared of him. As if they didn't give him the news that he wanted to hear, and they fled to yonder mountain. But go not there, lads. There is the ancient tower of Weathertop. There be spirits there, fell and foul, and ill omen indeed. Please take me, and take my wife to Bree, so that I may lay her to rest.
And Belechor looks at him and puts a hand on top of his hand to try and comfort him. You say there was a man with them, and they went that way, and he points to Weathertop. Did they go there?
Yes, they did.
And he looks over at Finduilas when he confirms that whoever did this has made their way to Weathertop where they're going, just to acknowledge with Finduilas that there is someone there. And then he looks at the man and said, "Yes, of course, Bree. Is that where you have kin?"
Yes, it is. 2 sons and a daughter, and 6 grandchildren I call them. Though I fear mine eyes will never set foot on their precious faces again. Run my hand through their unkept manes. Finduilas pulls you aside. A good deed you have done. Your hands indeed are the hands of a healer, but this man is gravely wounded. He is in no shape for travel, and gone are his horses, and gone is his wagon. This man will perish, no matter what you do. Perhaps because of your actions we have a handhold on this situation, but his fate is cast.
Who? And he looks down and he furrows his brow and then looks back up at Finduilas, with a smear of blood on his face from wrapping this guy's wound, his hands covered in dirt and blood. Who is it that we are meeting at Weathertop? Who is going to be there? We are so close. This is less than a day's journey.
There's no one at Weathertop. I plan to make camp there. It is a good lookout, if nothing else. But alas, I've not been forthright with you, at least not wholly, Belechor. I knew of these crows, of these crabine, of this pale rider ere this journey. Indeed, it is why Lord Elrond bid me accompany you. Of their nature, though, I know not much. But my instinct is that they hail from far to the south. But here we are afoot. I dare not engage them. But perhaps these creatures and this brigand, perhaps their tongue would loosen somewhat under an elvish blade. And he gets a little bit of passion in his eyes at this time. You see a flash of fire as his youngish temper gets a hold of him. Elven wrath is a thing to behold.
And Belechor with him, and he grips the hilt of his sword, tightens it around there a little bit, and says, "Yes, they will pay. They will suffer for what they've done. But that does not mean we can just leave this man here to die, to be eaten by wild beasts. It is our duty to try and get him back home. He has lost his wife, he has lost his living. Yes, he is injured, but that doesn't mean he needs to suffer."
The hands of a healer indeed. But they are not elvish hand. Do you know of Etelas, Kingsfoil? Give me a lore. No, you've not known of this. Yeah, you're young, Dunedin, so you're learning something. So yeah, you don't know about Etelas or Kingsfoil, which is a healing herb.
No, I'm very young.
Finduilas kind of runs his hand over his face and then jaunts off about 50 feet and then returns with what looks like a weed in his hand, a green leafy herb. It appears as such. And we are in luck. Among the ruins of Arthedain, one of the northern kingdoms of old, this herb grows aplenty. Now, it grows sparsely here, but upon the slopes of Amon Sul, where your ancestors once dwelt and held back the tide of Angmar, there, Kingsfoil, we will find aplenty, and perhaps, with a bit of elvish luck, save this man's life. Come. Give him a spot of water. We will place him beneath the wagon where he will be safe for us to return. He starts to kind of try to help move the guy.
Yep, so
away.
Yeah, Belechor moves back over to the man lying down. He goes into his pack, or actually he searches through the man's cart to find an old woolen blanket and uses it to cover his wife's body so that he doesn't have to look up, at her corpse. And then he helps the man up to the shaded side of the cart, leans him against it, and takes off his water skin and finds a bowl, a receptacle, something, and gives him half the water and leaves it there with him. "We're going to leave to find you help. We cannot drag you to where we're going now. You'll be good with the medicine that I've given you. But until we get back, you'll need to stay here and keep yourself safe." And Belechor takes the dagger out from his belt and hands it to the man. "Hold on to this. Let this keep you safe. Remember your times with your wife, and remember the future that you'll have with your children. You'll see them again. I'll do everything I can to make sure that you see them again." And he hands him his dagger to hold on to, just at least for nothing, for anything else, for comfort. And stands up and walks back over to Finduilas.
"You're a brave and kind man.
Well, we must do what we can for him.
While the hope of the elves flees this Middle-earth, the hope of men is rekindled. Perhaps this is what Mithrandir speaks of. No matter. Let us be on our way. When is last time you scaled Amon Sul? Maybe you haven't ever.
Well, it's been a number of years. I was brought here once when I was young in my training. I was shown it by one of our tribe, but I have not been back in quite a long, long time.
Well, alas, the sun is setting. If we do not start right now, we will find ourselves disadvantaged if indeed there are orcs about. Come. Come hither. Let's hunt some orc.
Yeah, Belechor nods at that, shakes his head yes, and steps forward with a little more energy in his step.
Alright, what does it look like as you guys scale the Weathertop?
So we get to the base of Weathertop and start making our way up. At parts our hands are going forward to meet the earth as we push off and climb up the somewhat steeper side of the hills, and then it levels out and it gets steep again. We're climbing over rocks and kind of scrambling as we step along the old battered ruins of this place, and the air just becomes heavy and stale with the history of the location, as we have just the slightest glistening of sweat across our brows as we make it to the top.
Finduilas does the same and follows you, and the sun starts to set, and eventually the stars start to peek out overnight. Finduilas is breathing hard. No, nay! It's like Legolas running over the snow at Caradhras.
Yeah.
Why don't you give it an athletics check
Exactly.
and see what you look like? Yeah, you're gassed, and he's just ahead of you.
Oof.
So,
Yeah.
like, he perches on one of these outcrops ahead and holds his left fist up and crouches down. Halt, Belechor. Though the stars and moons rise in the east, there are bandits about, or worse. And he points his hand and crouches ever slower and kind of guides you up near him. You can see the faintest flicker of a fire as the sun starts to set on top of Weathertop. And you can hear voices because they're up higher than you and they're on top of this giant hill. And it's kind of echoed, and it's not the exact same as this picture here. There's more of like a partial roof over this ruins. And so the acoustics of it is just kind of the voices are thrown down the mountain. Hey, what are you doing? All that jewelry's not going to go to you. After all, we outnumber ya. 2 of my kind to 1 of your soft and fleshy ones. Oi, you don't mess with me, or the boss will get his. He'll get his men to come after you, skin the lot of you. I'm going to take what's bright and shiny. You can have these foodstuffs here. After all, men can't eat rotten meat like orcs do. The boss should have warned me. This is going to be a long night. Going to have to sleep with one eye open so you don't gut me. That's right, one of them says. He might get you when you're sleeping, or he might get you while you're awake. And even from down below, you can hear a metallic swish and a wet sound as these 2 orcs fall on upon this fat footpad, jabbing him and stabbing him with hunting knives over and over. And you can hear them cackling in the dark. One of them, his name's Bloodzug, one of the orc soldiers, he lifts the hunting knife to his lips and licks the red blood off with his black tongue. We're not going to be eating these rotten meats. We're going to be eating this soft meat. Hey, mate? Down below, you can hear them butchering this footpad and start to put him on a spit. This guy's dead.
And we hear this from our position, correct?
Sensible. Whoops. Can you see the orcs at least? I think I probably have to put the footpad on dead, but that's fine.
Now, he was on there
you
and
can
marked
see him.
dead.
No, you can see him or not.
No, I can't now. You did have him on there, and he was marked dead.
Whatever. He's dead.
But he's gone now. Yeah.
So you're like, I don't know, 20 yards away, something like that. One of them is real spindly. He has a hunting bow next to him, and the other one has a short sword and a hunting knife. And they're just kind of hunched over this wet, red, bloody mass as they're butchering this bandit and eating him for dinner.
Yeah, I make eye contact with Finduilas and make a hand motion over towards, where that commotion was coming from, so that we can make our way at least to a spot where we can see what they're doing and where they're at.
Stealth checks. Ooh. I'm gonna use a hope. Oh no. Tell me what it looks like. So it's just not going. We're not going to be able to get off an ambush. They're going to hear us and come after us. Tell me what it looks like and what happens when this scout courier, who has failed all of his scouty things today.
You know what? It's the classic. We're making our way over there, and as we're making our way over there, Finduilas, with his eye on our goal of getting in range of these vile creatures, just nudges the slightest stone that goes rolling and hits another stone that hits another stone before there's just a trickle of stones falling down the hill towards these orcs, just long enough for them to hear the commotion and look up.
Oi! What's that? Oh! There they are, 2 more of them. Hey, Bloodsug, looks like dessert has arrived, eh? And they just brandish their weapons, and the goblin archer starts to draw his bow, and the orc soldier starts charging you. And we are in combat, boys.
Yeah, Belechor immediately has his sword drawn, and he's charging the one that's charging him.
All right, we can do opening volleys. Opening
Oh, that's
volley.
right. Volleys first, huh?
You guys first. Belechor, go.
Yep. Do you have to target in this?
Hopefully it works. I'm trying to kind of test out a lot of stuff during this session. I think it's going pretty good though.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's not letting me
see if
target anyone.
So T. So
I mean, I can hit my bows and roll for my bows, but no one specifically is targeted.
do you know how to target him? You highlight him, hit T.
Oh. Oh, there we go. It would have missed anyhow. I rolled an 8.
Alright, let's see if the elf can get him. Hope. Great success. See, did I not have him targeted though? I did. But it didn't roll damage or anything. Alright. No.
You have to roll separately for damage.
I'm on. Wonder orc soldier. I am tagging him. I'm gonna try roll it again to see what happens. Hope point bonus. When I was testing some of this stuff out, there was Oh, you know what? I don't have the actual bow equipped on him. That's why. That's it. That's why. Bear with me.
How are you rolling
I have
bows
the
if you don't
skill.
have a bow equipped?
I have the skill ranked up. I just don't have the actual equipment attached.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. From the actual weapons.
So let me see. I'm gonna equip that.
Yeah,
Unequip
that's
the
what I did
spear.
too.
And then let me roll it again. I'll keep that great success though. I'll keep that. Let me just roll again, see what happens. Success. Now it still didn't give me a damage. What? I wonder if I'm just going to roll it from the weapon now. Okay. That's it. That's it. Yeah, if you roll
from the weapon. Okay.
I'm gonna do that. 11 damage.
Yeah, and Belechor is going to take a forward stance.
I think the goblin archer gets to take a shot at you all, boys. He'll shoot Finduilas since he's so. That orc, by the way, takes a shot right in the gut. And then the goblin archer.
Nice.
Targets Finduilas. And he's going to use 1 point of hate to add a bonus die.
Oof.
Ooh, he's going to get a heavy blow. 5 damage, so he gets hit. So they exchange bows as you just roll into battle. And suddenly there's one of these like stout orc arrows, the same type that was in that lady's back. It smashes into Finduilas' shoulder. So that was what, 5? Whoops. 24. There we go. He's not really wary yet. I'll get there, and
Gonna get there.
So then I hit begin combat. Boom, and we're good to go. Now you can change your stance. Finduilas is going to go to open stance. And he's going to move forward to attack the orc with you. And it's your turn. And
I'm going to a forward stance.
if you roll from your weapon
against the
on your
orc.
sheet, then and you have him targeted, you should be able to do the damage and stuff.
Okay, I have him targeted, so yeah, he launches those arrows and then runs into battle against this orc with both hands on his long sword. He takes a swing at him.
That's a death. What does it look like?
And he just basically clashes right into him, and with a wide arc with his long sword, along with that arrow that hit him, Belechor takes a wide swing, and it just cleaves him from the nape of his neck across the opposite side to right under his armpit.
Embereth Gilfonio! Finduilas says and charges past the orc as Belechor slays him, and his spear flashes in the starlight as they wheel overhead as he attacks the goblin archer at close range. And this thing barely just dodges aside, just this little scrawny things, and hops up on this boulder just out of reach, jumping over the slashing spear. And now it's his turn. Finduilas is gone. The goblin archer is gone. He comes after Finduilas with his knife now, kind of dropping his bow to the ground. There's two of you in one of me. And he's going to try to gut you. Jagged knife. Misses. Round 2.
Yeah, and he is hopping back and forth off that rock, dodging spears, and then jumping back at Finduilas with his jagged knife. While he's doing that, Belechor is able to make his way around and stays in a forward stance, charging him as he's trying to lunge at Finduilas with his knife.
Excuse me. Oh, yes. 5 dam.
Mm-hmm.
My boy's moving to forward. Moving in to close to the orc, Finduilas tries to flank him, stabbing with his spear.
Ooh.
Call him Gilgalad. I'll let you describe it since you're the player.
Yeah, after Belechor makes his way around, trying to flank him when he was trying to hit Finduilas with the jagged knife, Belechor went around the other side and brought his sword down across him, which kind of deflected off him just a little bit. But as he was distracted by Belechor striking at him, Finduilas was able to get in position with his spear, and with just the subtle moves of an elf, there was a swish in the air as he just pushed it forward, and it skewered right through the goblin archer, all the way through to the point to where Belechor saw the spear tip come through the other side, and he looked down, saw the spear tip exit through the goblin archer's stomach, and then get sucked back in as Finduilas pulled the spear out, and the elf dropped to the ground, or the goblin dropped to the ground.
Now it does seem that Finduilas is breathing heavy. He has an orcish arrow jutting from his right shoulder with blood starting to stain his off-white tunic. Looking at the tracks leading up to Amon Sul, I do believe there were only 3.
And Belechor looks around. I believe you're right. And looking at the tracks as well, being a skilled hunter, also able to, read the tracks. Yes, I think you're right. There were only 3 of them. 2 lay here, and by the sounds of the squelching fat, the other one is down below, I would gather. And as he's saying this, Belechor is reaching into one of his pouches and pulls out that same balm that he used earlier on the man down at the roadside and starts applying it to Finduilas, the wound that he has in his shoulder.
Finduilas nods somberly, but then even as the salve is applied, he turns his face eastward down the road, looking, his gaze going to the horizon where the rising moon is glinting off of a pale rider emerging out onto the roadway from the forest a couple miles down below, very near to where that wagon was. And kind of your line of sight tracing the pointed spear of Finduilas, you can see that pale rider kind of look up towards Amon Sul, like you can see that flickering fire and maybe that smoke that's rising into the sky. Maybe you could hear the commotion in the battle. But the only thing you can hear, Belechor, is a sudden scream as a voice goes, "No! No!" And you see a flash of steel down below as that mounted figure impales the surviving old man onto a lance. It looks up your way, and with one baleful gaze, the horse leaves the road and sprints off far to the south into the forest.
Belechor, standing at the edge here of the old, tower walls, looks down across the road to where that cart was and where that man was. And seeing that, his head drops and his shoulders drop. He closes his eyes and he just whispers to himself, "I'm sorry. I am sorry we could not do more." And then he turns back around and puts his attention back on Finduilas and caring for his wound.
Can you give yourself a wisdom roll? If you succeed, you gain 1 shadow point. If you fail, you gain 2. You gain 1 shadow point. Fighting this long defeat in Middle-earth, trying to do the right thing. It just doesn't seem to work out. I'll let you give a little bit of RP and then we'll fade to black.
So Belechor, as he's tightening a bandage up around Finduilas and his hands and face still covered in blood, his tunic covered with the the ichor of black blood from the orcs that he cut down. His head is down and he lets out a long sigh. I know this is our fate. I know, as a ranger of our bloodline, that this is my calling and what I am to do. There was never a choice. There was never a question. And although I don't question what I'm supposed to be here for and why I'm supposed to be here doing this, it's moments like that, when that man who didn't deserve this, who didn't ask for this, whose bloodline doesn't call for this sacrifice, and he is taken prematurely from this life and from his family, makes my heart grow heavy, and it makes all of this more difficult. I know one as long-lived as you has seen much worse, and maybe men's hearts are softer. But it's difficult, Finduilas. It's difficult to know that these men that we try and save cannot be saved. How do you do it? How do you live this long and see this much death and not let it carry you down?
Some say that it is a curse, this long life. The doom of Mandos, as it is called, far across the sea in Valinor, where the Valar still dwell, Belechor. It is only my hope to see those gleaming white shores once more, that my gaze fall once more upon the green verdant plains where the light of the two trees once shone. But it is a sad hope, Belechor. Cold, sometimes lifeless. Starlight, not sunlight. My people are fading into the west. It is your kin who must bear the torch into the future. And on that journey, I will accompany you. His mood changes a little bit, even into the smells and sounds of Bree itself.
Belechor nods and he rests his hand on Finduilas' shoulder, tightens the bandage a little bit, and says, "This should hold you until we get to Bree. Someone more skilled can take a look at it. You'll be fine until then." And he walks back over to the walls, to the crumbling walls, and looks back down the road where they left that man. And he makes a quiet promise to himself that if he can, if given the opportunity, he will make sure that that man did not die for nothing, that his sacrifice of simply living in this world as a man surrounded by monsters, that he doesn't go unnoticed, and that his life is worth something.
With that, we will end the session and draw it to a close. Alright.
Whew! Go Belechor, go Finduilas. Yeah, that spear hit.
I don't know where that 20 damage came from. I have to look at that.